notice I put them real close to your chairs as a reminder. Yeah, phones.
Please enter your PIN followed by the pound key.
Yeah, I guess we're all ready. Everyone would please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated, please. Okay. Everybody have a chance to look the bills over?
Yes. Sonic Wall, 3-year, what was that?
Yeah, that's 3-year contract, right?
Yeah, Sonic Wall,
Yep. That's our safety net.
firewall.
Yes. A little bit more advanced than that, but yes.
And the ambulance bill was for the whole year?
Yes, that's sloppy on my part. I thought we had mailed that check in. I got an email this week and took care of it. We had to pay it. We got to pay it.
Pay the bills?
So I hear Margaret seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Minutes. February 14th minutes. Everybody have a chance to look those over.
Yes.
We all set?
Move we accept the minutes as written?
I'll second.
Big water seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. No presentation. Ms. Starowitz, you so wish to address us. Thank you. Thank you. Were you going to say anything? I sure can, but would like you to be up at the microphone so everybody can hear what you have to say.
timer. Yeah. But it would've been. Okay. Come on. Okay.
Okay, maybe we'll start out with the matter of the timer. If the board can please address where in your rules and regulations that you have set up in the past stating that anyone that wishes to speak must be scheduled ahead of time of the meeting, and also where does it state that you have a 5-minute limit? Last month's meeting, I brought up and asked Supervisor Sean if he was familiar with the open meeting laws, and section 106 listed the minutes. His response on record stated yes. So I brought a copy of the law, because I know last month I didn't have extra copies, so each of the board members can review the open meeting law. Specifically on the first page where I put the arrow 106 minutes. I also took a picture because I even went on today, because last month I stated the same thing when I was here at the meeting. There are no minutes. So I was wondering if each of the board members can review this New York State law that was updated at the bottom as of May 5, 2023. Before I left last month's meeting, I gave a copy to your attorney, Brittany, and specifically said last month before the March meeting, I suggest that you review with the board members, since Sean said that he already understands the rules and regulations, to please review the New York State law. So there is no misunderstanding. I took a picture and printed it. As of today, there are no minutes on the website. So I'm asking the board to please review the law. Okay, also, since I have to be scheduled on the meeting docket, I was wondering where on your town website, or if it's somewhere different, document library, I can't find it where the rules and regulations to have a public tax-paying member must be scheduled to meet or to speak at your monthly meeting. Other townships, you can speak freely at the end under public comment, but at several meetings I've been told by your supervisor, there is no public comment during the meeting. There is no public comment after the meeting. So my question to the board is, how do you know what the public likes, whether it's good or bad? We don't even have an opportunity to speak. Food for thought. So there you go. That's all I have for today. And since I understand that you choose not to answer, I would like to ask the board, wouldn't it be responsible, since you're voted in by the public, to let the public speak, to let the public make recommendations, whether it's good or bad? Or is this Town of Berry board going to continue to not let the public speak? And I would like to know what regulation specifically is this board, every single member, following? Where is it in writing? And that's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I did receive a letter. There it is. From a resident in the town. And it is addressed to the supervisor, board members, and code enforcement officer. Please look over the attached May 6, 2022 letter. If you recall, I have asked for action on the abandoned buildings in our town of Barry. The letter is to bring the deplorable condition back to your attention. I am hoping you have a concrete plan to address this overdue matter. I realize the former code enforcement officer is retired. I am optimistic I will see progress with the current officer. And she did include the letter from May 6, 2022. I'm not going to go through and read the whole letter, but it is pertaining to properties, burned out properties, abandoned properties, which is something that we were to address 2 years ago. Unfortunately, it was not followed through with, and I know it falls back on us. We are in the process of getting a new CEO, and we have a temporary CEO. They will be working together, and we will be addressing this pertaining to abandoned and the burned out properties, because I agree with the resident. It is a blight on our town. It doesn't look good. A lot of these buildings, driving down 98, you see a couple and don't like it. Okay. Old business, Hemlock Ridge Solar. There's no movement on it at this time still. I had some numbers worked up, 4 different scenarios. As far as we're still concerned, trying to find a nice way of saying it, but basically we don't agree with the way the school districts and the county want to handle this. So there's still room for negotiating there. Baird Solar Project board members, you received the weekly report. I mailed that out yesterday. Usually comes in on Wednesday, but I got it early yesterday, so I sent that out to you. Things are moving along. A lot of pipes are in the ground at this time. I think they're still working on getting every one of them in there and at the right height right now. They haven't started putting the racking systems on yet that I can see. That brings us to Heritage Wind, which we received today. From Bridget Cook, I believe it was, sent it to us, not Bridget O'Toole. And it is responses for the proposed modifications by Heritage Wind. On the telephone, Dwight, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And as I said, we just received this today. I was trying to sit because there's a reference to different portions of the DMM and trying to fly around through there and take a look at these different pages or different submissions. When you have attachments on each one of those submissions, it's kind of difficult, and we didn't have a lot of time to really digest this. But you are covering many areas here. There's a number of them I want to look at yet myself, but if everybody takes a look on the second page towards the top, it says right there that ORAS permitted the town to provide comments on this determination by March 15th, 2024. That's this Friday, folks.
This is what I was concerned about the
and they were requesting a minor modification. Bridget at that time had looked it over and said that it wasn't gonna be acted upon because there was a lot of problems with it yet, and she didn't assume that the state was gonna do it to save the money. That's when I said, well, maybe we should just send a letter as us and not involve lawyers in making it, so they agreed with it. Unfortunately, we did not do that, or we wouldn't have had time, because the next day, they've got things to review, and I don't see how they could have reviewed it, and they okayed it and made it. So this is our chance now, to, protect our citizens. And have the state say, no, we're going to look at it. And unfortunately, they only gave us the March 15th to do it.
And we've had Kathy Spencer from Labella, who's been on this project with us since day one, as well as Bridget O'Toole, Bridget Cook, and Dwight Kanyak, Dwight's been with us from day one as well. A letter from us, George, I don't think would have really sufficed. Here is a lot of specific information that was brought up. They did a lot of work on this between the attorneys and Kathy Spencer, the engineer. They've got a lot of information in here. I mean, basically, we say, hey, we don't agree with your opinion.
And that's where,
This is
Bridget,
good.
that's what New York State should have done before they even paid, and they did
Yep.
not. Kind of reminded me. I was hoping that we could just send a letter and say, hey, we're here, and we are looking at this, and it isn't right.
So further down on our agenda, Bridget O'Toole asked me to put on the agenda a motion authorizing the town attorney to submit the comments to ORAS on the town's behalf. And that's why it's down there. She just wanted us to say, yes, it's okay for her to submit these. Like I said, Kathy and Dwight have been with us since day one on this project. Bridget and Bridget Incorporated have experience in this area, and they all did their due diligence putting this together. So I feel comfortable with this. I just would like to have time to go through a lot more of this, so, which I will do. And if I have questions, I will bring them up later. But seeing how the 15th is our deadline, and they put together this packet, I don't know, anybody have any questions on these?
And Sean, if you like, I can step through, from a summary standpoint, hit the comments that are in here too, if that's helpful.
Go ahead.
Sure. And I'll just go in the order that they're presented in the letter. I think Sean got into some of the procedural parts of this. There was a permit issued for the project in August of 22. I'm sorry, in August 22, they submitted a permit modification. So this has been going for about 1.5 years. Initially, it was considered a major modification largely because Heritage was requesting a waiver of the town's setback law. There was quite a bit back and forth between ORAS. Well, there was some more back and forth between the town as well as ORAS with the applicant. Initially, it had to do with the appropriate amount of local agency funds for the review. There was a number of conversations the town actually had with regard to several rounds of notices of incomplete application. Heritage agreed to essentially drop the need for the setback waiver, which was significant. In January, Heritage responded to the most recent notice of incomplete application. It still had not been deemed complete, which was why we did not, as the town's consultants recommend, given the limited local agency fund budget, opining on the application until it was done. We didn't want to spend time on something that was not substantially complete. To our, I guess we were surprised that in February it was deemed not complete necessarily, but a minor modification, which what that means, as opposed to what's called a major modification, is it impacts the formal aspect of public review. Major modification would be similar to the original proceeding, but the scope of it would only be the modification, not the whole project. A minor designation essentially means ORES has a certain amount of time to modify the permit. When the minor modification determination was made in February, I spoke with the ORES attorney involved and expressed our dissatisfaction with procedurally that we had not had an opportunity to review a complete application that had been deemed complete. There are several new attorneys in ORES right now. We, I guess, had at that point in time the option of appealing or working out an agreement where the town could have time to meaningfully provide comments in time for ORES to then consider them in a meaningful way. So the agreement was that the town would have 30 days, which is to March 15th, to provide comments, and then ORES has committed to issuing a draft permit or as modified in 30 more days, so about April, I guess, 14th. That's the back information as to what these comments are based on. Page 2, our initial point is that this should have been a major modification. ORES does have the discretion to, if we are raising what would be called a substantive and substantial issue or potentially significant adverse impact to the environment, they do have discretion to reopen this and make it a major modification. So we have put in here our position as to why it should have been a major. Basically, even though there are fewer turbines, that 11 of them have been relocated in some manner or another. Some of the relocations are quite small, but the number of them are not. Moving on to substantive issues, I think this is the key with this comment letter is, and as with any of these, generalized opposition is not sufficient to make change in these projects. It has to be based on substantive issues. Kathy Spencer spent a considerable amount of time reviewing the key aspects, based on the initial proceeding of what was important to the town. I think a number of these topics mirror what was in our petition for hearing back in 2021, a number of years ago. So there's a focus on issues such as shadow flicker, visual impact, safety response, and such. So Kathy's observations with respect to shadow flicker is that there are 57 non-participating. Those are non-participating means those who don't have an agreement with Heritage. Residential receptors is essentially a house. Predicted to receive more than 30 hours of shadow flicker a year. 30 hours is the ORES standard for maximum shadow flicker per year. It's also the town's standard. Well, I'm sorry, the town standard is 25.
Yeah.
But that was waived in the initial proceeding, so 30 hours a year is the standard for this particular project. And the point that Kathy made and that we make in the comment letter is that while there are 47 properties that are predicted to have more than 30 hours of shadow flicker, the permit only allows 30. So that requires Heritage to mitigate the shadow flicker such that it does not exceed 30. So the standard will be met. The question is how. And they are relying on fairly new mitigation technology that measures and determines how much shadow flicker any particular house is receiving and will curtail production during the time period such that those residences do not exceed 30 hours. I think the question we have and that we raise here, one is how reliable is that technology with respect to mitigating shadow flicker? It's relatively new. This issue's come up in other wind projects as well. So we're encouraging Flores to have a rigorous means of verifying that the approach is working. That's going to be in the details in the client filings, but that's certainly an issue in other wind projects as well. The second is there are several other beyond the 57 initially identified. Kathy did a deeper dive. There were several other properties that had over 30 hours. So we're ensuring that those properties are also on the list to get special respect to the 30 hours. Moving on to visual impact.
While we're on,
there's two. I'm sorry.
While we're on shadow flicker, our town is 25 hours. Did they happen to
Correct.
see what percentage of the would be overrode by New York State on that 25 to 30? Anything?
That was not analyzed. We did not go into. We would have to go into the raw report to determine that.
Okay.
I guess I'd have to. I can go back to our petition a few years ago and get a sense of how many properties there were like that. Would probably be a similar order of magnitude. Given that standard was waived, that waiver carries over to the modification. So we did not take a dive into it.
That's good. Our town laws are being overridden by New York State. So, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
As far as visual impact, the observation from Kathy was that there's actually a slight decrease in the amount of area in the town where the turbines will be viewable. It's not a large decrease, but it's about 2.5% of the total of where it was viewable with the prior layout. That decrease is primarily in the western portion of the project area. And it's consistent with the removal of, there were 7 turbines removed in the western portion of the layout. The other observation that Kathy had was that though there are turbines being added to another part of the town, the actual portion of the town where, let's call it new areas of this, there are minimal new areas of the town that will now have turbines visible. Essentially, where the turbines are being added, those areas already have turbines that are visible to the area. There was a question of some of the simulations where there was perhaps some, at least on initial glance, the height as presented in the simulation seemed to be out of proportion. That was an observation, so it was reflected on it. The next issue was safety response plan, and there was a number of deficiencies here where, in essence, the safety response plan did not provide, in our opinion, sufficient specificity with regard to wind impact in emergency situations where it was specific to wind turbines, the unique issues that emergency response to wind turbines would have. There were some errors, in our opinion, as to who would be responsible for extinguishing see those issues. They does a nice job, and Bridget laid it out as to what those specific issues were. But it's, in essence, it needed more specificity with regard to wind turbine impacts and emergency portable wind turbines. It was a little too generic as far as just general response. Decommissioning. This is something where I think there's been some recent. There's another wind project being reviewed by ORAS in Cuban County, Cohocton, Strasburg area. I'm actually involved with that, so Kathy representing the town. So these observations on the cost for the decommissioning is actually based on some fairly new data that wasn't available 3 years ago. That showed that what I would call a similarly sized project, the Strasburg Wind project, had a bit higher of an estimate for decommissioning for about the same number of turbines on a per turbine basis. So we're noting that and questioning the numbers involved. I would say as an aside that the Heritage estimate is probably more consistent with, there are a number of turbine project decommissioning estimates out there because some were built under Article 10. The Heritage estimate is probably somewhat consistent with those. The Prasburg one is a bit higher. It's something that we had noted in assessing the Prasburg project. So I would say that one is based on new data. So those are the key issues we saw. As Sean pointed out, Kathy's been reviewing this application in one form or another for about 6 years now. So she's quite familiar with the issues, where to focus on them, and Bridget, the two Bridgets and I are confident in her assessment of the technical issues, and it's presented in a substantive way that should aid ORAS to, if anything, modify some of the requirements. As they probably will issue a raw by permit, I would suspect from this. But I think the key is here, given that the scope of the review is the modification itself, not the whole project, that the key issues that the town sees will get addressed either through detailed design or through a permit condition. And as we said before, we think the key ones are the shadow flicker and the monitoring for that, and especially the safety. I'm happy to take any questions the board might have.
Nobody's got any questions? No.
No. He's pretty very.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
I'm on the board. The board's recognized.
No, the board's not recognizing. George McKenna's recognizing. There are 4 or 5 people here. You're one person. No.
Board recognizes Gary.
Request for additional information that the state had submitted was in regards to the proximity of the turbines to each other in the new locations, because they are now consolidated into a smaller area. And I believe that there's even a turbine that is less than 1,000 feet. It's like 900 feet between 2 turbines. And I know that Heritage Wind had actually submitted that they didn't think that that was appropriate, and had argued that they shouldn't be that close, but now they're putting them that close. Was that reviewed or analyzed at all? Yeah. Okay. So that would just be another.
I would see that the town is, the basis of the review is, its foundation is the town's law. So,
right. I understand that.
Heritage Wind actually, like, they put in that it was part of like a safety concern with the turbines being that large, being that close, because ORES had suggested putting, when they were talking about doing a revamp of the project, ORES had suggested putting them closer, and Heritage Wind had said, no, that is a safety concern. We shouldn't be doing that. But now they are closer. So just for like the residents who are in that area or proximity, that would be a safety concern that I would just like to make note of.
We can have Labella take a look at that.
Just for clarification, the ruling that came out from ORES was that it was deemed a minor modification. Am I correct? And also in my understanding of reading it, that it was deemed a minor modification and all of the adjustments were approved.
And all the what?
All of the adjustments, or that it was deemed minor and changes, all of the changes were approved.
It's a minor based on the revised submittals, I think. Is that what you're implying?
Yes, but that ORES's response was that it was approved with those modifications.
Yeah, subject to a revised sub-siting permit in 2 months. So ORES does have the ability and the regulations to reopen certain issues if it's warranted.
Okay, thank you. Those were my 2 comments.
Great. Thanks.
I'll make a motion to kind of wait rather than wait for the Mike's on the phone answers any more questions. Can I make a motion that town allows them to proceed and send their paperwork?
We can do that when we get into new business, yes.
That's all. Saying
Yes.
if we did it now,
We'll do it when we get into new business.
are you gonna have Dwight on the phone then the whole time?
Dwight can leave anytime he wants to, and I will be notifying Bridget, because it's for the town attorney to make the submission.
I do have one question. On the decommissioning, that's in today's dollars.
Yes.
So in 20
So
years.
so the way the permit is structured, in the approach it takes to dealing with inflation is that, so as you know, the decommissioning amount, decommissioning estimate goes into determining the size of the financial surety that will be for the benefit of the town. I don't remember if it's a bond or a letter of credit. So such that if the project's abandoned, the town has the funds to decommission it. The approach to managing the change in estimate for the decommissioning over time is to have the estimate reevaluated every 5 years, and that the bond amount be adjusted accordingly. That way, in many ways, and I've always thought it's a fairly reasonable approach to it. Many would just have like a flat inflation factor, usually 2% or so. The last 5 years it's been more than 2. By having essentially every 5-year reality check, it provides for an actual adjustment to inflation. So that's the approach to that.
Okay, on the same process there, if for some reason the cost of saying getting rid of the blades because of landfill issues or whatever it is at the time of decommissioning, would they take that into effect? They wouldn't just use a percentage on the inflation, correct?
Right. It's based on the actual estimated cost at that every 5-year period for that disposal cost or recycling or whatever the approach would be at the time. So it's not based on some inflation factor. It's based on the actual price as actually adjusted every 5 years. And the estimate is supposed to be performed by an independent professional engineer.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Dwight? Dwight, anything you want to add?
No, I think that's it. Let Bridget, myself, know if there are any other questions or things we want to modify in the letter come up. It's not due till Friday, so it does have, if some question does arise, we can adjust it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your clarification this evening.
Sure. And if something comes up later, I'll be around. Just give me a holler.
Okay.
Thank you.
You can stick around, you know.
Maybe I will. Though my dog might want to go for a while. I don't know. Talk to Enzo about this.
Okay, then. Eagle Harbor, sand and
Good night, all.
gravel. You received from Bridget about Eagle Harbor, and as she pointed out, they're kind of poo-pooing it. They had put in their submission for 5 trucks per hour, which is what basically they are doing at this time, where she had pointed out possibly 24 trucks per hour because of 2 major energy projects coming up. And they said that it'd still probably be only 5 trucks per hour. So I don't know where we're going next with this. That's something that
Sort of unrealistic expectation.
to me it is, because if they're hoping to get at least a contract, not being the sole person provider, but if they are planning on getting a contract with Heritage or Hemlock Ridge, I do believe that it's going to be greater than 5 trucks per hour. So I don't know. And then once again, and that the whole point of this was, what is it going to do to our roads? Not just, it's a county road and possibly a town road as well.
Sean, they are operating under a special use permit, so they can be called on. They can be revoked. Yes.
Yearly renewable?
Yes.
Okay. So noted. Okay, next. Yes, sir. Yes. They have not gotten a quote back. I asked them a week or so ago, and I have not heard back from them as of yet, as of today.
Is that a quote from Joe?
Yes. I had called. In fact, I spoke with one of his employees maybe on Monday, reminding. She said she would talk to him about it, but I still haven't seen anything. Yes. Okay, next, under new business, first one, ACH payments. Every time when we have to do ACH payments, the board approves Lee to be able to do them. CPL is requesting ACH payments for their billing. The automatic, where she just goes into the computer and makes a automatic, like you do from home there. You can make payments from home there. Same thing. You know what CPL is? Clark Patterson. Okay, so do I hear a motion to give permission to Lee?
I'll make a motion.
Margaret seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, next, the governor, a little over a week ago, I think a little over 2 weeks ago, proposed several millions of dollars for municipalities for park grants. And we have talked about it a couple years now about getting permanent bathrooms down in our park. So the proposal here is to have G&G pursue a state grant for the park for the purpose of those permanent bathrooms.
Would the grant be 100% coverage of the cost?
I honestly don't know. If it's 75%, I think it's a go. I think it would be a go. But if it's only matching funds at 50-50, it depends on what the cost would be, whether or not we can come up with that 50%. So until we pursue it here some, I don't know. I mean, we need an engineer to draw up how much they would be. And rather than putting in a leach field, we'll just put a septic tank in and we'll get that pumped out. So that saves a little bit of money right there. We don't have to put leach fields in.
So is this going to entail, besides hiring, would we be hiring an architect or whatever?
An engineer, yes. Yep.
These bathrooms, to highway professional, how much of a hassle / inconvenience would it be, or is it something that would be positive or less?
It's another bill to take care of. I would think that leach field would be less expensive than one tank, because one tank's gonna have to, you're gonna have to have somebody come in and truck it out.
But we have that. Isn't there an agreement with the village?
If they open it. I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
You know, that is an open agreement, yeah.
So that's what I was looking at, was that with that agreement with the village, then we would be able to get it pumped out at least once a year, depending on the size of the tank.
What is the agreement?
The shared service,
Shared service plan?
they,
Septic?
that's from the chief plan operator, not the Village of Albion Board.
Okay.
I would rather have that in from the village board agreement. Not that I don't trust the chief sewer plant operator, but I would rather have that on paper from the board.
Okay. That's something I can investigate.
Is there a time constraint on this grant? Hiring, is it like first come, first served?
There is a time frame where it has to be submitted by. First come, first serve. I did not see that when I did a fast perusal of it. I think that, like a lot of stuff, rather than looking at big dollar projects, single projects, they want to spread it out a little bit more and have a little bit here, a little bit there, and so on.
John, is that the engineering and that covered under the grant? Will the grant cover that?
That's what with the grant, we would be writing in the engineering fee as well as the grant writer's fee.
gotta be different options of the restrooms, you know,
Mhm.
whether you're gonna have water there or not.
Okay.
Comes down to a sanitary thing.
Yep. Okay, so do I hear a motion for hiring G&G to pursue this grant for us?
I'll make that motion.
Kirk? Second? Margaret, the seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, next. Dale has been talking to us about this for several months. He would like permission to go ahead and purchase the new dump truck, which we won't take possession until 2025, but he has to order it now, so. Any questions for Dale on that before?
This is the truck we've been talking about months. Yeah.
Yeah.
They need
Seen my
some-
report, I've met with several different vendors and been doing our due diligence.
Did we put it out for bids or did you just?
No, it's gonna go on either a piggyback or a Sourcewell contract, so it's already been bid out, and the vendor's got a price for under that.
Does this truck fall under where we had that, we were locked into one vendor, but we can use other vendors now? Is that the?
Yeah, no, we can use whatever vendor we want, because we did away with that other resolution.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, anybody make a motion?
I'll make.
Dave makes a motion, second. Anybody? Margaret makes the second.
I actually heard Dale's voice.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Next one. Mr. Superintendent would like to advertise for summer help for this summer. As he informed us before, the gentleman that we've had for the last few summers has decided he doesn't want to do it anymore. So he has to advertise. So can we give him the permission to do so?
So we're not really adding anything, we're just replacing the gentleman.
Yes. Yeah, we're not adding another position or anything. It's just
filling a spot.
filling spot.
Make a motion to allow Dale to advertise for summer help.
Do we have to advertise in the daily, or can we just advertise in the hub?
We should advertise it because our official newspaper is the Daily. So we should advertise there,
I'll put it in
but
the Penny Saver also.
Penny Saver and Hub.
Obviously, we're
'Cause-
gonna try to hire local.
Yes.
Okay.
So George made the motion. Second. Dave seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Oh. Oh yeah, I did. I passed out to you guys prior to the start of the meeting from General Code. If you take a look at that. And turn to the, I think it's the third page. If I open, yep, third page. You'll see all the laws since 2016 that have not been updated in our general code book. We have submitted all these laws to them. They have all the laws. They've double checked with the comptroller's office. So those are the laws that would go into our new code book. As you see at the bottom, there are 4 of those that would not be codified because of one reason or another, such as like a moratorium would not be codified. or allowance to go over the tax cap. If you look at the top of the second page, they're saying that it will cost between $34.85 and $42.20, which includes shipping and handling. That's if they're guesstimating at that high price, printing of up to 24 sets of supplemental pages. We're not interested because we have all those books, but we're only looking at having 5, maybe 6 at the most hard copied books. Because if you take a look at right in the bottom of the first page, they will be putting all these onto eCode 360, which is on our website there, and that is out there for anybody and everybody to use. So why have 24, 25 solid copies when we can utilize E360? But we will have a couple of hard copies here in the building just in case. Okay? So I predict, I don't know exactly how much it's going to be, but I would dare say it's going to be closer to the $34.85 because of not having to print all those pages and have them shipped.
Sean, and that's for how many?
They're saying for 24 books, all the supplementals, which we'd have to sit down and insert. It's not like you're getting a whole brand new book. We're just inserting the new pages.
How many books? Sean, how many books do we have on hand now?
24, that's what they went by. We have 24 total hardcover books between the planning board, the zoning board of appeals, the 5 of us, the town clerk, the assessor, the CEO. So we've got 24 books. But, like I said, with the code E360 there's no need to really have all these books. So I'm interested in only getting about 5 or 6 pages that we will insert in a couple of books. I would say it's before 2016, yes. Okay. And I had budgeted for this. I can't remember what line I had this under, but I had planned on getting this completed last year, and we didn't get it completed. And this year I waited till Maureen was pretty much done with taxes so that we could take a look at what ones have to be inserted. And we worked with Lorianne Shura there at General Code. So they've got everything. It's all set, ready to roll.
So as a town, I think we should keep updated with the laws and have them there. With that cost, that makes me feel better. I'd like to see it every 10 years. Put that cost over 10 years rather than 4 or 5, unless we have a bunch of laws that come out that we need to. That's good. It's time to update that.
Agreed. So do I hear a motion?
I move that we go ahead and update our code to update to the eCode system. As long as we read all that stuff in it, we can just do the ones we do.
Definitely.
I'll second.
Dave seconds. All in favor? Opposed? So carried. Okay, now We have been interviewing potential CEOs the last couple of nights. We had a long talk last night. We also had in on the interview committee Chad Fabre, who is our temporary CEO, CEO for the Village of Brockport. He's also part-time CEO for the town of Murray, and he lives up in Murray as well. So after our interviews and everything and a little talk back and forth with a certain candidate, Mr. Jared Hicks has accepted the position. It is going to, because he does not have any formal training as a CEO, he has extensive training he has to go through. And at different stages of his training, then he'll be able to officially take on more and more roles. Meanwhile, at the same time, Chad has agreed that he will work as a mentor and work with Mr. Hicks. So they'll be working hand in hand so that we can get Mr. Hicks up to speed and working as a proper CEO should. So I'd like to hear a motion for the appointment of Jared Hicks as our new CEO.
I'll make the motion for discussion on that.
I'll second it.
Okay, Dave and George. All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion.
You want to discuss? Go ahead.
I tell you, in the past, I think the board hasn't backed up some of the CEOs. You know, and I don't think we ought to be telling them not to go after this one and go after that one. Just stay right out. Let the chips fall where they may.
You're saying once he gets if he goes to some residents or something to that effect?
The CEO is in charge of whether it's being the fire marshal, zoning officer, or the code officer. They are in charge of making sure that everybody in the community, no matter who they are, fulfills those rules, completes those rules, follows those rules. So, yes, the new CEO will have to do that. There has been little rumor mills in the past. People have kind of pressured the CEO not to look this way or that way. That should not happen. I can't say it will not happen, but this gentleman that we just interviewed, I think is above board, and he will not bend that way. He's military, spent time overseas. So I think we've got a good person here that will do the job. So once again, could I hear the vote again? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay. And the last one under new business is authorizing the town attorney to submit comments to ORES on the town's behalf, which is what the discussion was under old business. And George, I believe you made the motion before.
Make a motion to authorize the town attorney to submit comments to ORES on the town's behalf.
And is there a second? Margaret seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. First, abstaining. Opposed? I didn't ask that. So carried. Okay. My financials. I finally got the ones for the month of January. We did not get the ones for February as of yet. But as of the end of January, the town has utilized 11% of its annual budget, which surprises me a little bit because January, well, February, that might be the big jump. We pay all our insurance fees at that time. We usually spend a lot of our budget January, February. So maybe I'll have February's and they'll be a little different. Highway has spent 7% of their annual budget as of the end of January. Highway.
Questions first? I want to throw out that April 8th is the day of the eclipse, and we're expected to have a lot more traffic. I'm not sure what we're going to do at the highway yet, besides monitor radios and try to stay in contact with dispatch, because they're saying it can affect radio communication, phone, cell phone. It is in the mid-afternoon, so I don't know. I wanted to discuss with you, Sean, what we should do that day, whether we should be working or.
Yeah, it's something I wanted to talk to you before tonight's
Yeah.
meeting. I forgot about it until just now when you brought it up.
Justin from the EMO put out an email to, some suggestions about obviously not closing any roads, but I believe Niagara and Monroe County are having events that is gonna, then troopers are gonna push those people when they leave to go 104, 31. So I never thought that we'd have that much traffic, but apparently you do.
Time will tell.
I don't either. Yeah. I guess in the past they've had a lot of out of state travelers, out of the area travelers come in and just to see it.
When the sun comes back, that's all.
We'll finally get a real winter if it doesn't. On his report, as you can see, Dale and I have met with two different HVAC contractors about our heating and cooling system in this building. We've had some issues with one of our furnaces, and we've got it kind of jerry-rigged right now, so it's still alive. The two furnaces and the two air conditioners are the same age as this building. They were put in when it was first constructed back in '99. And their life expectancy is drawing to a close here. So we've been talking to a couple of contractors to find out what would be the best avenue, the best bang for the buck to replace the air conditioners and the furnaces, rather than waiting until they finally die and then we're scrambling, middle of winter, middle of summer. We've gotten some prices. We want to check with one more firm, don't we?
See why not.
What was the price again? Ballpark figure?
32 to 35.
And that's for a heat pump system.
Yeah.
Each. No.
3,500 sounded pretty good.
I'll replace a system in my house already. And that would be each. That's not just for both of them.
I believe it was each.
Yeah. So that's something, like I said, we're looking at the cost now so that I can budget that for 2025. You also notice on there installed 2 on-demand hot water heaters for the town hall. Our hot water tank, which is located towards the back of the building, the ladies always complain they can't get the hot water for like washing their hands or doing the dishes in the conference room, break room, ever. Well, it goes from the one room to the next room where the slop sink is, across up into the ceiling, across down this side of the hallway, and then on over that way to get into the bathrooms and get into the conference room. Hot water tank is always sitting there and always running, keeping the water at a specific temperature. So we've been wasting electric because it's electric hot water tank. So Dale and I were talking about it, and we decided to go ahead with it. And that was to put in 2 on-demand hot water tanks, one for the kitchen and the other one for the 2 bathrooms. And our guys installed them, so they work great. The only thing is, you got to remember that we have restrictive filters like on the end of those faucets so that you don't use as much water. So I noticed like in the men's room there, you hit it, you're going to have cold water for the first time. When it stops running, hit it again, then you start getting warm water. Third time, you get hot water. So I'm sure it's the same in the ladies' room. But now, with that hot water tank being turned off, we're not spending money for electricity to keep a tank of hot water that never got used. That tank, though, it is disconnected, and rather than drawing cold water from the ground outdoors, it is a reservoir that has the water at room temperature, so it does not require as much to heat it up when it's drawn over to the bathrooms or to the conference room. So we should be saving money on electric right there. How much, I don't know, but we're not heating a tank of water anymore. The new grader won't be in until maybe June, huh? After the new one comes in, that's when you'll look at putting the old one on the auction block. Okay.
I already had some inquiries about it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dale. Maureen already gave me her. Did I put that in here? Yes, I did. She brought in $760. Biggest chunk once again. Gotta love them dogs. Got quite a few building permits. When we were doing our interviews, Chad had brought that up where he has had 5 phone calls in the last week or so where people were inquiring about subdividing a parcel and building new homes. A new home at each one of those, not multiples. So it looks like a few people are interested in building some new homes here in town. Stephanie has been out, so we have no report from her. I have no idea of anything there. Code enforcement, Chad, I know, has been boots on the ground. He's made a lot of inspections, a lot of parcels. So he's been running around pretty good. Planning board, Kirk?
I was busy doing the interviews. Gary, you want to give us a rundown?
Gary, we need you up by the mic, please. Thank you, sir.
We went down the rabbit hole of subdivisions, multi-lots, lots 3 to 10, 10 and over 10. We got into land division. We are reviewing the codes to set it up so that there will be no more landlocked properties that could fall off the tax rolls, but it's quite the rabbit hole. So that's going to be taking up a majority of our time. We are waiting for the comprehensive plan to come out to see how it all ties in before anything final comes out. So there'll be no code changes until after the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, sir. Zoning, that's an easy one for you, Margaret.
No meeting.
Rotating the good. Park, Dave?
I think we're gonna have a meeting next week with Jason there to basically try to get an actual layout of the thoughts to move forward with the park. Pretty sure it's 7 o'clock. I do not have that information at my office.
It's right here in town hall. 7.
It was 17th, is it? Yeah. Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
Monday?
Dave, utilities, anything there?
No, not really. Got back from, yeah, nothing. Lights are still on, we're good.
Here tonight, so nothing from the attorney other than about the Heritage Wind and about Eagle Harbor Center. Surveys for those of you who are listening in and those of you here. The comp plan surveys, they are on our website. The link is on our website. Click on that. The highway department put a mailbox to the right of the front door. There are hard copies in there that you can fill out and then return. Please fill out these surveys. They'll help the comprehensive committee.
Bug your neighbors. Bug your neighbors to fill them out.
They can do it online. Get hard copies. Just ask everybody, please, to get those filled out. Anything else?
Yes, Sean.
Yes. Tim Henns, Highway Superintendent for the County of Genesee. Finally, we've been talking back and forth over the years about us being able to have 4 areas of town as out of district users tapping into Genesee County, like south end of Burns Road, south end of Crane Road, south end of Old 98 and White City. Well, according to Tim, it's probably almost a decade out before that would become a reality because of the upgrades they still have to do, and they're going to be putting, Genesee County will probably be putting in a water restriction for this summer just because they're still not able to provide enough water. So he doesn't have to see that happening. For us to run a water line all the way down to those areas, the water quality for the amount of water that would be used would diminish. So we can't provide water because of how far they are from the main source. So it doesn't look like we're going to be able to provide any water. Maybe a decade from now, whoever the town board is at that time, they can pursue it again. But at this
time the building inspector gonna be able to take care of the 4 areas on the south side of town.
Anything new on Water District 10?
Nothing at this time. They are busy getting those applications for the grants written so that we gotta do RIA first of all, and then the other grant, and we'll see what we can do. If we get that other grant, and they sound very hopeful about it, that'll take care of 75% of the cost of putting Water District 10 in the ground. Better than the 50-50 right now. Anything else?
Now, in case any of the other park committee members are listening, you put a text out the 18th at 6 o'clock.
Okay, I'm sorry. Dave, you got that?
I do now.
Yeah, I got 6 o'clock in my calendar. Okay, thank you, sir. Park committee meeting, 6 p.m. on the 18th, this coming Monday, right here in the town hall.
They will be here, not in the conference room. Right here.
And we'll see from that.
See how many people show up.
Okay, anything else? Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
We got a citizen.
Yes, Ms. Richardson.
I just was wondering why the workshops are no longer being or put on YouTube Live for public to.
Oh, rather than spending the money on heating and lighting in here, we've been having them in the conference room because it's primarily just the board itself and sometimes one other citizen. So we've been meeting in there so we keep costs down. And we cannot, we don't have the computer and the TV or the camera for the and nothing says that we have to do that for the town board meetings. We do.
For the workshop, though, it is a public meeting. You're right that as far as ORES, you don't require to do that. But as far as saving money, the investment has already been made in the equipment, in paying for CHPC to be there as a support if necessary, if things aren't working. The investment has already been made, and it seems that there's by stopping the workshop used to be in here, used to be advertised. By stopping doing that, it seems like the transparency is also going away. They're going to be discussing things that are going to be interesting. There's a level of transparency that is lacking, and by being in the back office too, or the conference room, it gives the appearance that there's nothing going on at the building. There is something going on, and it's not as inviting as the rest of it. So I guess the main thing is transparency. And also, I would just like to share that I have sent emails to the town board at different times, and at one point or another, all of the emails have bounced back to me saying that they are not going through you guys for each of you at different times for different emails that I've sent. So I can show you that, but it's just a concern if other people are getting the same response when they try to communicate with them. Okay, it's a technical issue.
Yeah, I'll check into that.
I haven't received anything.
You haven't received
I
anything?
haven't received anything from you.
Oh, okay. I have.
I've gotten it from a lot of other people like Dwight and Bridget and so on, but I haven't gotten anything from you.
Okay, I can show you the emails that I
That's
sent.
okay. I believe you.
Technical or something.
Yeah.
I don't.
I had Lee check
We had one point where Pro, she rebooted and it was fine.
And this stuff's all the audio is about the show, right?
Yeah.
These are pretty good.
I gotta tell you, Gary, I like doing it in that small room, that just back and forth, and it is open, and if we get enough people, we will come out here.
I think that you could, if you wanted to talk, that you could move the tables together.
Well, it is
Give
our
the best-
decision.
Give the best of both worlds.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn. All right.
Aye.